Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Monica Lily Padman. I'm joined by Dax Shepard.
Dax Randall Shepard.
Oh, so sorry. I always forget your middle name. It doesn't seem like that would be your middle name.
But it is, and I love it.
Who are you named after? Where does that one come from?
My uncle.
Your Uncle Randy?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I just realized?
Oh my God, what? I have an uncle?
You're named after your Uncle Randy, and my middle name is named after my Aunt Lily.
Your Uncle Lily.
You had to ruin it.
I'm sorry. Uncle Lily would be funny, though.
Well, sure.
But I was angry because my Uncle Randy was Randy, not Randall. And as like a 6-year-old, I'm like, no, Randall. All Randys are really Randall. I'm like, no, I want Randy to be good.
You wanted it to be Dax Randy Shepard?
Well,
I'm glad it's Randall.
Okay. Randall sounded like Randolph Hearst.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, okay. Today we have Barry Meier on. Barry Meier is a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer and former New York Times journalist who wrote the 2003 nonfiction book Painkiller, A Wonder Drug's Trial of Addiction and Death. So he was way ahead of this curve that we're now seeing all these great investigations of the opioid epidemic. He was like on it.
Yeah.
And he has a new book called Spooked, The Trump Dossier, Black Cube, and the Rise of Private Spies. I find this to be so interesting. It's a multi-billion-dollar-a-year business. People hiring spies to dig up dirt on people, to sometimes intimidate.
It feels like a TV show, but it's real life.
I know. And some of his discoveries are kind of troubling because I was hoodwinked.
Yeah.
I don't like being hoodwinked. It's my main job is to prevent being hoodwinked. So please enjoy Barry Meier. Also, quick reminder, in July, it's time for Spotify. So get that app on your phone because we will be there exclusively in July. We get support from Quince.
So we've been talking about Quince a lot lately, and as we head into fall, it's the perfect time to reset your wardrobe with their amazing pieces. I think it's so fun to do when the seasons turn over to just spruce up your wardrobe with a couple specials, and Quince is the place.
Totally. We're talking organic cotton, Mongolian cashmere, tailored chinos from just $60. Premium fit and quality you'd expect from a luxury brand designer. I love Quince. You know, I like it understated and subtle, and I like stuff that has high quality. And Quince checks all those boxes.
I love a lot of stuff from Quince. Honestly, they have incredible premium denim, which is very important for fall. It's pretty much all I wear in the fall is denim. And Quince has such a good selection of quality denim. Their stuff is so versatile, timeless, and built to last that you just grab every single day without thinking.
Right. And all of that for 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They go direct to ethical factories, cut out the middlemen, so you get all that quality without overpaying for it.
We love that. And they do way more than clothes. They have bedding, cookware, bath essentials, travel must-haves, same deal, and great quality.
Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/Dax. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/Dax. We get support from Apple Gift Card. Back to school is here, and for many, that means some big life transitions. Whether they are heading into a new grade or setting up a dorm for the first time, you want to give them something that actually supports their growth and success. Apple Gift Card is a versatile solution because it takes the guesswork out of gifting. It's not just about a new pair of AirPods for focus. It's about giving them the invaluable chance to choose the digital tools and subscriptions that suit their unique journey. They can use it for productivity apps on the App Store, movie nights on Apple TV, or extra iCloud storage for all those new memories. With Apple Gift Card, it's so empowering to give the students their freedom to allocate their own resources. Celebrate their new academic chapter. Visit applegiftcard.apple.com to celebrate their milestones and gift one today.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Hi. Hi. I am so sorry.
No problem.
Listen, we do this 7 times a week, and half the time we're to blame. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I'll blame you. And I just want to let you know that I have a 23-year-old daughter, and this is her favorite podcast.
Oh, that's flattering. She sounds like a very intelligent young woman.
She's extraordinarily intelligent. So thank you very much. You've earned me like 30 seconds of grace with my daughter.
Good. I have 2 daughters, and I know how fleeting being cool in their eyes is. It's
Exactly.
very quick. It's like the cherry blossoms. You must enjoy them while they're in bloom.
Indeed.
So, what do you think about the fact that your first huge book, well, that could be inaccurate, your humongous book, Painkiller, which ultimately led to some congressional hearings, you started investigating in 2001. And what's it like for you to now see this second swell of interest in documentaries being made and another book? How does it feel to have been at the vanguard of that and to see where it's growing into?
It's pretty remarkable because, like most journalists, I've written about this problem. I've brought this problem to light. So it's over. I've solved it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Like the day after Painkiller came out in 2003, I realized I didn't solve it. And along the way, I kept learning more and more things. I mean, Painkiller, from a publishing perspective, was a complete disaster. I mean, it probably sold a couple hundred copies.
Oh.
It went out of print after the first year. It never even was published as a paperback. And it was sort of a blessing in disguise because all the publication rights came back to me. So then I was able to republish the book in 2018. And the reason for republication was, as you noticed, this whole second wave had started. All the litigation had started. And I also had come into possession of this extraordinary document, which was this prosecution memo, this memo that had been drawn up by the prosecutors who were going after Purdue in the mid-2000s, in which they laid out their reasons for wanting to indict the top executives of the company and bring very serious charges against them, send them to jail. So it's been one of those stories where it just keeps going and going and going to the point where, as you mentioned, I'm now a character in books that are being written about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you watched the HBO documentary that's currently out, Crime of the Century?
He's in it. You're in it.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's funny. I'm in it, albeit briefly.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like I'm in like a cold storage locker, kind of the white room.
Like a forensic scientist.
Yeah. That John Oliver broadcast from the White Cube. And it was, I'm up in Westminster, Massachusetts. We rented, or Alex Gibney, the director, rented this really weird looking house up here that's like built like a gingerbread cottage. It's gigantic. It was like one of these things that some nutty person built.
Well, obviously the parallels between Big Pharma and Big Tobacco are not hard to draw. And similarly, they're very incentivized to have kind of an impenetrable fortress in rings of denial around them. And so, yeah, it's not shocking to me that daily inner circles of it are penetrated as someone perhaps starts cooperating or whistleblowers come to the forefront. The true depth of it. And I just want to say, so I'm a recovering addict. I've abused oxycodone, cotton, you name it. So I think I have a unique lens I'm viewing it through. And when Monica and I brought this up, because she's reading the other book.
Empire Pain.
So as we started talking about this, I have kind of this bizarre libertarian bent, I guess, even though I'm not a libertarian, where I say, if people abuse things, that is on the abuser. I'm an addict. I take responsibility for me. If it weren't this thing, I'd find another thing to be addicted to. I just love being addicted to stuff. I don't think it's coca farmers' responsibility. I think it's mine. All that to say, when I start seeing the level of deception and conspiracy as far as them manipulating the medical literature, them manipulating consensus in the medical community, employing doctors and experts, paying off perhaps people at the FDA. Now I don't think it's a fair fight. I don't think it's just an addict against an appealing product. I think it's a real conspiracy that a human individual can't compete with the force of that.
Well, when I first started investigating OxyContin and Purdue Pharma, this is going back 20 years to 2001. That is, in fact, the thing that really attracted me to the story. People that abuse drugs have done so forever. They're going to find the best drug they can to abuse, and why wouldn't you? If you're a connoisseur, you're going to go find the best thing.
They're drug addicts. That doesn't mean they're lazy.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't mean they don't have taste. When I started digging into the world, this is many years ago, about the Sackler brothers who own Purdue Pharma, the company and its marketing techniques, I was stunned and appalled. I've been a newspaper reporter most of my career, so all the cynicism, I've seen it before, comes with that. But this is nothing that I'd ever seen before. And the depth of manipulation, as you say, the depth of misrepresentation, the depth of lying, and the crime of lying to make money was really appalling. So did Purdue Pharma, the maker of OxyContin, seek to addict America and sell its drugs exclusively to people who are drug addicts? I don't think so. But did they create a huge basket of supply? And did they push the use of this drug onto patients who subsequently became dependent or addicted to it? And did they do that ruthlessly without any scientific merit and continue to do it even after there was clear-cut evidence that this product had run amok? That's the issue they're being held accountable for. And that's the reason why their names are being taken off museums and medical schools.
Yeah, and to your point, so again, there's all these buckets of people. I think, was it the number 300,000 since '01 or something that have OD'd from opiates? Is that the number?
I think it's much higher than that. I don't have the most current number on the top of my head, but I think it's well over 500,000 people.
Okay, so it's a staggering number. The scope of it is so enormous that I don't think people have looked at it from 30,000 feet and seen like, oh, this is a mega tragedy. And whereas I have no sympathy for myself or other addicts like me, who I have great sympathy for is the people whose gateway to this was a doctor who is trusted. And of course we should listen to doctors, and we should even at times go against our intuition and trust that they know what's best. So there's this really sacred relationship that was exploited, and that's ruthless. And I agree with you. I don't think anyone sat there twirling their mustache going like, ooh, let's get everyone addicted to our product. But if you say, I want the sales of this drug to be 7 billion next year, and you fail to recognize what that would represent, that everyone on it was taking vast amounts of it, it's kind of just a willful neglect of the truth.
Yes, and to your point, they also suppressed information showing that this drug was getting onto the street. They knew from their sales reps that doctors were reporting back that people were abusing it, people were diverting it to the street, and they never at any point in time said, okay, time out, let's figure out what's going on here, let's try to correct this while it's unfolding, because the money was so staggering, the money was so fantastic, and they tried to torpedo anyone, including myself, who were investigating the company and trying to bring the truth to light.
One of the moments of the documentary that I watched that was just so unbelievably unethical is when they were discussing patients who are showing major signs of addiction in their behavior, and they're calling it drug seeking, which is what it is. Their response was to go double down and go another round of the doctors talking to camera going, what you're seeing is not drug seeking. You're seeing someone that's still under medicated, up the dose. Like, talk about a fork road. And they actually chose to say, no, those are all signs of being under medicated. Give them way more. Is just like, whoa, did they drink the Kool-Aid at that point?
Yeah, did they believe it? I know some of the doctors must have thought that was true.
One of the thoughts that I came away with from writing this book back in the early 2000s, people always think, and I often think, that money is a great motivator. That, okay, these doctors, they're going out and they're shilling this drug for money. They're paying for their kids' private schools or for fancy foreign vacations or whatever the case may be. There's a grain of truth to that. And in some cases, that is the situation. But there is something even more powerful, and we see it all the time in our society, and that is ideology. And what Purdue was able to do was inculcate many people within the medical profession with this ideology that pain was being undertreated, that patients were suffering because they weren't getting adequate pain medication. They took this drug that was intended primarily for using end-of-life cancer treatment, severe treatment for a few days, and basically ramrodded it into the big breadbasket of American medicine, so that your local dentist, your local doctor, sports medicine doctor, whatever, were prescribing it. And by their very nature, in order for you to get pain relief from this drug, an opioid drug, you have to keep upping the dose, and upping the dose as time marches on. And there are all sorts of horrible consequences. Addiction is but one of them. There's a whole range of consequences.
I think it's relevant to point out, I guess people's probably fantasy of what this thing is. There's only one version, right? Someone's just like gobbling as many as they can to get as fucked up as humanly possible, and that's that. Where is in my case, I was coasting at a pretty manageable level where it wasn't very detectable to anybody. I was by no means falling out in grocery stores with my kids, but despite my quote responsible use of it, my tolerance is going up daily. So that element of it is not even like, I'm not even getting obliterated, but before long, holy shit, I need however many hundreds of milligrams of this. So that's the part that no one can manage. There is no playbook for your body getting immune to it and the requirement going up. That really is beyond anyone's control.
You're absolutely right. And the flip side of that is that once you get really cranked up on a drug like OxyContin and you want to come off, the withdrawal is, as you probably know from your own experience, unbearable, horrible. You've got flu-like symptoms. You're basically having DTs. And that became, even for pain patients who became dependent and addicted to these drugs, that became a real disincentive, because who wants to go through that? Like, maybe I'm addicted, but wow, the last time I tried to get off of this, it was a nightmare. So maybe I'll just stay on it.
Yeah, the really insidious part of it is exactly what you're saying. So over 16 years ago, I was an alcoholic, full-blown alcoholic. I quit that. And then, of course, in the first week of quitting alcohol, there's the mental racket telling you, oh, you can do it responsibly. You can have two, right? That's one thing you're battling. But now if you add on another side of it, which is like physically, you are in immense pain and anguish, and you know that's the antidote. It's just a whole nother level that drug offers that differs, I think, from most other things people are addicted to, is that it's downright gruesome to get off of it.
I interviewed a couple of people from the military who had gotten very addicted to OxyContin because for wartime injuries in Iraq and Afghanistan, when people came out, they had lost a limb, they had gotten severely hurt. The medical doctors in the military were giving them OxyContin. And this ex-soldier, Shane, who was a wonderful human being, was explaining to me like this decision point that he came to, which was that he loved his wife, he loved his kids, but he was taking so many drugs that he was just sitting on the couch all day, watching TV, getting really pissed off if they were interrupting him or wanting his attention. And then just one day he decided, this has got to stop, or I'm going to kill myself. And he just went cold turkey and went through this horrible ordeal, but emerged out the other side of it, thankfully, and regained his life, regained control over his life.
Yeah. Okay, so when you were investigating Purdue, did they ever deploy anyone to mess with you? I mean, they have such resources. Did they put anyone on you? Which leads to your current book, Spooked, The Trump Dossier, Black Cube, and the Rise of Private Spies. I wonder, were they watching you?
I have no doubt they were. There's a huge amount of documentation that is still under wraps in litigation, but I know that there are many documents in there. If you do a text search for Barry Meier, you're going to have enough reading for a couple of days. And if you do a text search for Kroll Associates, a very famous private spying firm, you're also going to get a lot of text. So basically, Kroll was looking at me, They were looking at other reporters. They were looking at people who
Can I
were-
interrupt you for 1 second?
Is it Nick Kroll?
Yeah, that's Nick Kroll's dad's company.
It's Nick Kroll's dad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's Nick Kroll's dad. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Yeah, and we love Nick Kroll. So this just got really dynamic.
Yeah. Jules Kroll is his name. Essentially created the modern day private spying industry.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And if Nick acting comedic career doesn't work out, and I hope it stays good.
Yeah, he's amazing. We love him.
He's a good guy.
Yes.
But if
Yeah.
it doesn't work out, he's got an out. He can go work for his dad. His brother is working with his dad. They've since changed their name to K2 Integrity. A couple of years ago, the company that they ran, and I tell this story in Spooked, hired this broken down British comedy producer. In Britain, they have what are called prank shows. They're kind of like candid camera show where, like, you know, everyone is in on the joke except the person who's the target of it. You know, like Borat and all that kind of stuff. The
Sure.
term for that in England is a prank show. And so they came up with a brilliant idea. They were hired by someone with interest in asbestos, that wonderful building material that kills people, to infiltrate these public health advocates who are lobbying to try to get asbestos banned in the developing world. So what they did was to have this former comedy producer present himself as a documentary filmmaker and infiltrate this group by suggesting he was going to make a big documentary exposing the dangers of asbestos. This guy, Rob Moore, who I write about in the book, decided this thing was so horrible, and he kind of became a double agent and started ratting them out to people. Yeah, it's a very wild story.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
Man, so I guess the first thought that comes to mind when you tell me stories like this is the amount of money it would take to execute something like this. Like, just knowing the budget of a documentary film, the money's got to be vast. Like, whatever this lobbying group is that wants to keep asbestos in the developing world, it must be millions of dollars, right? I mean, do you have any sense of what, like, the price tag is for these?
They're enormous. I didn't know what the specific price tag for this was, but let's talk about another private spying firm, this Israeli firm, Black Cube. They were the ones who were investigating women who were accusing Harvey Weinstein of sexual misconduct. And they were being paid millions of dollars. And they were also offered a writer an additional, I believe it was $3 million. It's in the book. I'm blanking out on the exact figure. If they succeeded in killing a story that the New York Times was writing about Harvey Weinstein. So the stakes are enormous. They're unlimited.
Yeah.
This industry, these people make millions of dollars. There's no real great estimate, but the best I could get is that it's like a $1.5 billion industry. And so the money is phenomenal.
Okay. Again, not to get stuck on this. So I read, I want to say it was Ronan's book on the Weinstein. Whatever book I read, there was a character in it who was employed by Black Cube. And he was, I don't know how to say this tactfully, but he was kind of a low-rent gumshoe.
Igor.
Yeah.
Igor's my friend. Yeah, I like
you
it.
knew that immediately from hearing that description.
Yeah, so what shocked
Yeah.
me when I was reading the description of this was he ultimately kind of was double agenty as well, as I recall.
He kind of tips off Ronan and lets him know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Okay.
I got to know Igor, a different slice of Igor's in my book. I kind of recount the Ronan story, but what's fantastic about Igor is that he is from Ukraine. He's like a Ukrainian Jew, much like Alexander Vindman, who testified during the first Trump impeachment, right? And they were kind of contemporaries. You know, they both came to the United States at the same time. And like Igor, yeah, he's sort of like a guy, like if you think there's like, you're an insurance company and you think someone is defrauding you by pretending they're sick or whatever, he'll go sit outside your house on a cold night eating pizza to make sure you're not out there weightlifting or something like that.
Right. Doing wind sprints in the front yard.
Yeah, once he caught wind of what was going on, he was incredibly horrified. His thought was, look, I came to the United States. This country welcomed us. when we were escaping this horrible treatment in Eastern Europe. And here I am, I'm being used by this Israeli company to try to prevent the exercise of free speech and try to thwart the press from doing its job. In my book, he sort of described it as someone who had like much more integrity than all these high-priced lawyers that were working for David Boies's law firm that had signed off and were using Black Cube to gather dirt. And one of the things that struck me as I was working on the book with this case and in many other cases is that you have all these people that put on suits and ties or very nice dresses every day, go to work at law firms, and find it morally acceptable to employ con men like the schlumps and schmucks that work for Black Cube because they think that's how they can win their cases. Hey guys, guess what I did today? I hired these people who go out and pretend that there's someone that they're not and run this con game in order to try to trick people into like giving them information.
Yeah, and the people being tricked are often victims of sexual
Yeah.
abuse.
Yes.
So again, as is always the case, like I get distracted by these other kind of human inevitabilities. So the fact that you have this multi-million-dollar deal and you think you're hiring like this Black Cube, elite espionage type CIA level MI5 thing, and that ultimately the human propensity to just hire another vendor to do stuff who hires another vendor, and then ultimately there's cost savings within that. And then now you have a guy who they're not paying nearly enough to be allegiant to them. The incentives for him are not high enough. And then you think, wow, even this elite organization did the stupid thing that everyone does, which is someone builds this great company and ultimately they decide to pay people $5 an hour, and then they're shocked that those people, A, did a bad job, B, weren't loyal, all these things. Like there's something about, I love that even in this type of a field, people are still trying to save $1, and then it ultimately unravels their whole thing. I mean, that's just a side note.
It's arrogance. It's just complete arrogance and this feeling on their part that they can pull any shenanigan they want, any con they want, and get away with it. And they usually do.
Yeah, but a lot of the activity is just patently illegal, right? Can you tell us some of the things that their operatives do that are just clearly illegal?
You would think it's illegal. Your listeners will think it's illegal. I like to think it should be illegal, but it's not. If I con you out of money, I could go to jail. But if someone pays me to defraud you out of information, I'm good to go.
Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, we're living in a society that allows this kind of stuff to happen. And it really shouldn't. It would be really easy to make a lot of this illegal because most people think it should be illegal.
So let's go through a couple of the cases because I'm dying to know like what issue they're employed to look into and then how one of these operations works on the ground. So tell us about the Trump dossier because I guess, which is crazy because when it was happening, it felt so novel and exciting. I would have imagined I would have remembered the details for life. And here we are. I've already kind of forgotten what the Trump dossier was all about.
Well, the Trump dossier falls into the general category of what's known as political opposition research, or OPPO, right? Where an investigator will go out on behalf of a candidate, a political party, and dig up dirt on their opponent. And then it'll be used to muddy them up, smear them, or in some cases, reveal things that are very important to know about them. Fusion GPS, which is run by two former Wall Street Journal reporters, they were first hired by a major Republican businessman who was trying to prevent Donald Trump from getting the 2016 presidential nomination. He was a supporter of Marco Rubio. So they were first hired to dig up dirt on Trump, and they were mainly looking at his old business deals. I mean, anyone who's ever heard of Donald Trump or followed Donald Trump or lived in New York as I do and sort of had to see Donald Trump, knew that this guy was like a schnook and a schmuck, and
Yeah, it's not hard to
like
find
it's not
dirt on
hard,
him.
right? And he had like this big trail of lawsuits and all kinds of garbage, weird associations with people, and maybe a lot of mobsters would go to his casinos and blah, 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 blah. So that's all kind of like cut and dry sort of stuff. Something that like any reporter could find out and do. But where things really get interesting is in the spring of 2016, when it's clear that Donald Trump is going to be the presidential nominee. The Republican donor who's been funding their efforts to date drops out. And these two former reporters now go to a law firm that represents the Hillary Clinton campaign. And they say to him, hey, guess what? We've been digging up a lot of stuff about Donald Trump. We think you guys can use it. We'd love to keep doing it. And maybe Russia would be a great place to look for info on Donald Trump. And the lawyer goes like, great, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
We are supported by Walden University. You know that feeling when you've been thinking about making a move, going after the degree, the promotion, the thing you keep telling yourself you'll get to someday? Walden University is built for that moment. For over 50 years, Walden has helped working professionals get the W, the knowledge, the skills, and the confidence to create real change in their careers and communities. Their programs are designed around your life, not the other way around. With Tempo Learning available in select programs, there are no rigid schedules or set weekly deadlines. You move at your own pace. And Walden's faculty aren't just academics. They're practitioners who bring real-world experience into everything they teach. From your first class to career coaching and beyond, Walden is your partner the whole way. Take the first step and learn at a pace that works for you. Visit waldenu.edu. Walden University. Set a course for change. Certified to operate by Chev. This episode is brought to you by the new Max original comedy series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. From the world and creators of The Big Bang Theory comes a new comedy series. Stuart Bloom, comic book store owner and lovable underdog, accidentally breaks a device built by Sheldon and Leonard and kicks off a full-blown multiverse Armageddon. Now, he's on a mission to put reality back together alongside his girlfriend Denise, a geologist named Bert, and physicist Barry Kripke. Along the way, they're running into alternate universe versions of characters you already know and love. Check out the new Max original comedy series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, now streaming exclusively on HBO Max with new episodes Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Subscription required. This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place.
Let's talk bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, but it does not have to be that way.
With SoFi high-yield checking and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit.
No account or overdraft fees, which feels rare these days. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, perfect for getting ahead of a bill or grabbing what you need right when you need it.
Plus, get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at SoFi.com/armchair. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank N.A., member FDIC. Terms apply. This episode is brought to you by ServiceNow. Look, I have my dream job. I get to talk to folks I admire like crazy and ask them virtually any question that I want to. I can't imagine a better way to spend my time. But even dream jobs have some not so dreamy parts, the stuff that gets in the way of the actual work. Now, that's where ServiceNow's AI specialists come in. They don't just tell you what you should do about your busy work. They actually do it, start to finish. Cases closed, requests handled, no extra work for you. So you and your team can focus on what matters most, which for me is, are they obsessed with male bodies on the same level as I am?
They never are.
To learn how to put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.
And so one of these reporters, Glenn Simpson, who's a character throughout the book, knows a former MI6 agent, Christopher Steele, whose name is probably familiar, and who...
You remember him, Monica? Mm-mm. He was the one who originally claimed that Trump had been peed on by some sex workers, and there was maybe a video of that and leverage. Okay.
Yeah, so they hire him, and he's like some retired MI6 spook who's now a private spy. And they had known each other, and Glenn says to him, like, go do this, I'll pay you, blah, 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 blah. And so Steele dispatches a person he calls his collector, right? We don't know what his identity is at that time, who he is at that time, to go and collect damaging information about Donald Trump. And so the result of that was this so-called dossier, which was all this stuff that there was, yes, this P tape that Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, had gone to Prague to meet with Russian agents, that other members of Trump's campaign were compromised. Admittedly, all these guys, they weren't like the most attractive people in the world, right? They were kind of awful. But nonetheless, as I sort of unwind the story of the dossier throughout the book, you began to realize that this stuff that Christopher Steele and these two former reporters are shopping to journalists to try to get them to write stories about the dossier is like insane and ridiculous and untrue in most cases.
Can I pause you? I want to make a public service announcement. Okay?
Go right
This
ahead.
is exactly why the Fourth Estate needs to be defended at all costs.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine I'm guessing you probably voted for Hillary in that election. You don't have to tell me. I can't imagine you are a Trump supporter. And yet you're presented with some facts that are pretty much saying the left's Russian investigation was probably, to some degree, a witch hunt. And you have an ethical obligation that I'm blown away with, that you just got to tell the truth. As you find the truth, you must tell the truth, even if it is counter to whatever your political leanings might be. This is like, for us on the left, right? This is like dangerous shit right
You're
now.
totally right.
What it says to me is like, we're as bad as the Hillary email dump. We're as bad. Both sides are fucking gnarly. And that's exactly why no one trusts each other. Okay, continue. I just wanted to point out that like, you're going against what I would assume your interests are here at this point.
Yes, because ultimately my interest is the truth. I mean, I have no interest in perpetuating or continuing a false narrative, whatever it is, not this, not anything. And I think as journalists, I didn't vote for Trump. I think Trump's a horrible human being, but the way I feel has nothing to do with what I report or write about, right? I mean, those two things can exist very comfortably with each other.
But that's why this is the most sacred thing for us in a democracy to protect. I'm just kind of pointing
And you're
out
absolutely
that,
right. And part of my motivation for writing the book, and I hope it's something that people take away as they're reading the book, is that it's precious. That right is precious. That trust is precious. And it can't be squandered. And this is a case where it was squandered. And it was actually squandered in such a way that Trump supporters, Trump himself, whomever, was able to turn it and use it against people who were trying to get the truth about all of Trump's activities, not related to this. This guy, Peter Strzok, who used to be at the FBI and was involved in the Trump investigation, basically said that all the narrative that was being promoted about the collusion narrative, if you will, was ultimately so damaging to examining Trump and all of Trump's misdeeds, because every time someone would go and start digging up stuff about Trump and the really bad stuff he was involved with or his administration was involved with, he would bring up the Russia card and say, oh, well, they were selling that phony Russia thing, and he's still doing it, right? To this day, he's still doing it, and many of his supporters still believe it. And so I thought there's a public service to be done in telling the story.
Well, look, it erred clearly, especially if these people were successful in getting journalists to bite on this, to report on this. That's a big misstep for journalism. But the way to save it is to do what Bayer did and pull Tylenol. It's to do what science does. Shit, this number's no longer adding up the way we said. We must amend it. So this type of truth-telling and taking responsibility is so vital so that we don't lose that.
Look, we all believe bad things about Donald Trump. It's not hard to believe that. And there's plenty of evidence for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But believing that and then saying, well, because I believe that, I believe that he also colluded with Moscow, that's a pretty big jump. Now, if there's evidence of that, fine, that's great, bring it on. But if it isn't, then we have a problem. And in some ways, the problem began when BuzzFeed, this news organization, posted the dossier in early 2017, and then it just exploded.
It was flubber, right? It just had its own momentum. Yeah.
People you and I watch on MSNBC and CNN and everywhere else and in various publications just embrace this, and we're chasing this. And it was an all-consuming media obsession for 3 years. And what I try to do in the book is kind of follow that trail and bring readers into the rooms where people are being misled about this stuff, or they're interacting in ways, or they're misreporting things. I mean, there's some reporting that looks like it was totally made up out of whole cloth. And it may be because the people who reported it believed what their sources were telling them. It may be because they made this shit up themselves. But in either case, the people who did this should, one, be held account for it, and two, sort of acknowledge what they did. And I'd like to think that my book, in some ways, is part of the accountability process, but I don't know if there's ever going to be an acknowledgments chapter written by news organizations saying, you know what, we fucked up, we shouldn't have done this, and we're going to change our practices. So when we give the public information that has, in some form, come from a hired spy, we're going to let them know about it. So they're going to be able to contextualize this information and use it in whatever way they want. I mean, no one in their right mind woke up one morning with the idea that Donald Trump was a Russian puppet and he was colluding with Moscow and all these things were going on. They were all coming from some place. And people who describe themselves as quote unquote investigative reporters, they need to sort of think about how they present information. They need to be honest with readers and viewers. And they need to make it clear that some of this information is coming from people who are being paid to plant the information.
I think part of the problem is there can be a political bent to these different news organizations too. And so if there's a quote right-wing organization, they are likely, maybe this is not fair, but they're probably not going to take accountability for that level of fake news that they're putting out. So I'm sure there's this counter effect on the left in those news organizations to say like, well, if they're not going to take accountability and we are going to, it's just going to make us look less effective. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I think this is part of the whole issue is, well, they're not doing it, so should we do it?
I totally understand what you're saying because there is a lot of disinformation, misinformation coming out of right-wing media. My view was there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
That's that. I think of myself kind of I had a mainstream publication, New York Times. I mean, many people think it's a left-wing publication, but God knows it's about as mainstream as they come. So mainline news organizations need to hold themselves to a higher standard because they don't want to become hyper-partisan. They don't want to fall in the trap that you're describing, which is, hey, these other guys do it, so it's cool for me.
Can I ask your opinion on, it seems like what has changed is there are so many more players that news organizations like the New York Times are now, in essence, whether you want to call it that or not, competing with eyeballs. So as you mentioned, like BuzzFeed puts it out there. Now, New York Times can't pretend that's not in the world. It somehow needs to be addressed. Also, you have now, because there's so many more outlets, there's so many more layers of what we would call news. Is it entertainment? Is it this? There's just all these strata. And so because there's so many more players, perhaps the ethics are as broad as the field itself has gotten. Do you think that's what's driven this?
In fact, I think it's a very strong part of it, and I write about that in the book. You have all these new news organizations that didn't exist 15, 20 years ago. news organizations have become hyper partisan, so you have like Fox over here, and now even crazier OAN, or to the right of that, you've got MSNBC on the other side. Things that never would have made the news are now making news because there's more of like a demand for like, oh, we can get a hit on this, or we can get clicks on this. So the way that I describe it in the book is that when you take those factors and you threw in Donald Trump, 2 former Wall Street Journal reporters, and a former British spy, all the elements were in place for a media clusterfuck of epic proportions. So yes, I mean, this all was the substrate for this whole rocket ship to be launched from.
Yeah, man. And then I just want to add too, it's like, and it kind of goes back to your investigation in Painkiller, which is, we always would recognize that if the government goes to John DeLorean and says, hey, do you want to make $2 million by taking this cocaine over here? That's entrapment. So he's not going to serve any time for that, because we acknowledge the government shouldn't entrap people. And when I watched the Crime of the Century, you're taking a gal that worked at a strip club who's putting herself through college. You bring her into this company to sell pharmaceuticals, and you're incentivizing and entrapping and encouraging her to break the law. And yet that poor woman ends up going to prison, not anyone that incentivized her. And so it's this endless shit flowing downstream and deniability. And it's kind of repugnant because the ultimate victims of it are always the lowest people on the totem pole. We don't seem to ever go after the people who have incentivized the behavior.
There are 2 systems of justice. There's the justice for most of us, and there's the justice system for the wealthy. And not only was that true in the case of Painkiller and similar other corporate crimes, but in my new book, it's also relevant also because if you're a business person and you think somebody is screwing with you for one reason or another, you hire a bunch of private spies to gather up evidence, and you've got the lawyers and the information to like walk that stuff over to prosecutors. So the nature of the 2 tiers of justice don't affect who gets crapped out at the bottom. It's who gets fed in at the top.
Yeah. And then the only time that ever happens in like some egalitarian way is that like internet sleuths compile enough evidence against Nexium, but the odds of them kind of fueling and funding a full investigation to put on the plate of someone is so rare for that to happen.
You bring up Nexium, and I wonder why.
Because as I see it, that was an investigation that no one wanted to take on, and it was largely led by defectors and parents, and through their endless pursuit of media attention, finally got someone to act, right? So they had to make the whole thing happen. They had to go out and get the public will for it. They had to provide all the evidence. They had to record phone calls, and that was done without any funding, but I just would say that's probably the ratio is 1 to 1,000,000 of it happening in that fashion. Tell me why Nexium interests you.
Well, I broke the Nexium story.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
Have you seen The Vow?
I have seen The Vow.
You have not seen how fucking awesome I am in The Vow?
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. Boy, I got egg on my face.
I should have
Oh my
been
God.
like, I deserved an Emmy for what I did in The Vow.
I'm rewatching it now. Now that I'm a fan. Yeah.
Episode 5.
I'm going back then. I'm going back. Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Boy, that was, what we call that, serendipitous?
Yeah.
Or just
I thought,
embarrassing?
oh, you're like trying to
Simulation.
set me up to say something about The Vow. And I'm saying, and then I started thinking, maybe he doesn't know about me and The Vow.
It was the latter. It was the latter.
Yeah, no, but I go into a big spiel about how Nexium was like being promoted as a self-help organization. That's how it was luring people in. So I'm being interviewed by the filmmakers, and I say to them something to the effect of, look, I get self-help, but I'm so fucking helpless. No self-help program could help me. And so I was totally immune to this shit.
Well, I'll say another thing about you. Let me try to wow you with my brilliance. I think I figured out exactly what Raniere did, what his magic thing was. Because he did not go after rejects of society. He recruited and groomed very intelligent people. And I think his key breakthrough was they were intelligent people that also very much wanted validation for being intelligent. So when they asked him something, when they wanted him to be prophetic, they'd say, well, what is this? And he would go, well, what do you think it is? He never answered a fucking question. He'd ask, what do you think it is? And they would whip up a theory that they believed in, that they thought he would believe in. And so he forced them to come up with all the answers that they were looking for because they wanted to impress him. And they would end and he would smile and he'd go, yes. And maybe he'd make an adjustment, but he never actually gave you scripture. He forced you to give yourself scripture. And I was like, this is brilliant. He's preying on people who want him to think they're intelligent. And you don't need Ranieri's approval for being intelligent. That's why you're
I need
immune.
approval all the time. But I got a pass
Right,
where he
right.
was concerned. But to drag it back to private spies, Ranieri used private spies a lot. There was in the 90s, there was this private eye in New York who was kind of a forerunner of Black Cube because he was Israeli. He claimed to be a Mossad agent. And he was like investigating people that were questioning Ranieri or trying to expose Ranieri. And the Village Voice had the greatest piece on him when the Village Voice still existed. And the headline was Super Agent Schmuck. It was basically an expose about the fact that this guy had no Mossad experience and all this legend that he created about himself was bullshit. One of the things that really interested me about Christopher Steele, the former MI6 agent, in my book, Spooked, was his legend. Like, he was supposed to be incredibly smart, incredibly knowledgeable about Russia. Many reporters and book writers described him as having broken open the FIFA soccer scandal and helped solve the mystery of the poisoning of this former KGB agent in London in the mid-2000s. And I'm going like, okay, well, that might be true, but let me see what I can find out. And it turns out he did very little when it came to breaking the FIFA investigation. And all these people that were involved with this KGB agent who was murdered had never heard of Christopher Steele. So maybe he did have some involvement, but it was a lot less than the way it was being billed to journalists that then amplified those stories.
It is crazy how ubiquitous the Mossad thing is because even here in Hollywood, I have numerous friends that have either done gun training. This guy is the best. He was former Mossad. Someone's personal security. Oh, they're former Mossad. Personal trainer. Oh, this fitness coach, man. He knows they're former Mossad. I'm thinking, are there any Mossad in Israel? Are they all here coaching people on how to be
Right. And what did they do for the Mossad? I mean, were they like
analysts that read computers?
your receptionists or clerks or whatever the case? Maybe. I mean, you turn on TV and it doesn't make a difference what channel it is. It could be CNN, Fox, MSNBC, and there are all these former FBI people, CIA people, military intelligence people. They're opining about all this stuff, right? Oh, well, Jim's the former CIA agent. What do you think about this, Jim? And he goes, well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, who the fuck is this person? I mean, like, what do they know? What do they really do? I probably know as much about it as they do. Maybe there's some, like, mook bureaucrat their entire career. And now they're, like, dressed themselves up in a suit and they're pretending to know a hell of a lot more than they actually do.
Well, I think humans as animals, we like archetypes, we like stories. So it's like, oh, this is the expert. Here's the credential. I can trust this.
And this is how these private spies sell themselves to customers, too. Hey, I'm an ex-MI6 guy.
So even Black Cube, like if you go and you have the meeting with Black Cube and they wow you with all this stuff, they don't mention they're going to hire Igor for $30 a day. Like they leave that part out because it's selling this story. That's something they've seen in a movie.
Yes, it's a legend.
But they must be really effective. Could you give me some examples of when they've been hugely successful? Obviously, the Trump dossier, that was hugely successful. It led to an impeachment virtually. So what's another case of when they've been really effective?
Oh, and so, I mean, Black Cube has had some effective cases. They were very effective in helping these two British businessmen fend off criminal charges against them, and they were then able to recoup $1 million in legal expenses from the British government. Private investigators, hired spies, do legitimate work, but increasingly they're doing lots of really, really skeevy things. And there are many stories of that in the book.
Yeah, could you tell us how they're using digital tactics?
Oh, well, Black Cube is a wonderful example. So you've got a new job. Your acting career is over. I'm sorry to tell you that.
And that's not a surprise.
Black Cube is willing to hire you because you have talent. But we're not going to send you out as Dax. We're going to create a new persona for you, a new legend for you. So when you go out and try to con somebody into giving you information, you're going to have a new name. And there's going to be your Facebook page with all your imaginary friends on it, your LinkedIn listing with all your imaginary jobs on it. If someone gets really curious about you and they click on your employer, it's going to bring them to a phony website where there's like stock photographs of this company and wonderful comments about what a great employee you were. They used social media to create this digital mirage. So that's one aspect of it. And then there's also the other side of it, which is this insidious cyber spying, where there is a lot of hacking, computer hacking going on, or where spyware programs are planted into people's phones. So that way the investigators can follow them, they can get all their text messages, they can get all their emails. There was one great contract that I saw where the hired spies were promising to provide the client with a listing of all the porno sites that their targets visited. And I thought, wow, people have to be really careful with that kind of stuff happening, right? Yeah. But once they get into you, into your computer, that's one side of digital spying. The other side is when someone approaches you under what's known as a pretense, made-up character. Digital social media technology has been used to like really flesh out that mirage. So it appears that you are a real person.
Now, the text message part in the spyware software, that now has to be illegal, no? At that point, they've crossed some line? Or
yes,
no?
Phone hacking is illegal, but it's usually done remotely. So let's say you're a private investigator and you think, you know what? I know someone who hacks phones. That person's not going to be living next door to you. They're not going to be living in the United States. They may be living in India. There was recently a very big case where hundreds of jobs were being farmed out from various customers, private investigators, to this hacker in India. So basically there's like a daisy chain or one of those Russian stacking dolls where, you know, you've got the company here, then you pull out, then you've got the lawyer, then you pull it out, you've got the private investigator, then you pull out the next one, there's this one middleman, then you pull out the next one, there's another middleman, and eventually you get to the bottom and you get the hacker. But there's so many layers going down that everyone's got like deniability.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Am I misremembering this? I feel like I remember, and this is the moment I said, oh, well, by God, no one's safe. Didn't one of the British tabloids have access to the Prime Minister's phone like 12 years ago or something?
Yeah, well, there was a big phone hacking scandal. I think that's what you're referring to, where the News of the World, Rupert Murdoch's newspaper, had phone hackers. And it was very commonplace in England. I mean, one of the characters in the book did a lot of pretense work. I'm sure he would deny that he did phone hacking, but maybe he did. But it was very commonplace. And so there's this huge scandal where this hacking was caught. And there was like hearings. I don't remember if you remember, like when Rupert Murdoch and one of his sons went to testify, someone threw a pie at them, or Wendy Ding, Rupert Murdoch's then wife, intercepted, threw herself between her man and the. But what the book does is kind of, as I'm laying out these stories, these characters, you're learning hopefully about the history of this type of cyber spying and how it started
Yeah.
and how it's now being used.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't even feel real. It feels like all of this couldn't happen in the United States. That's something that happens in another country.
In
Like,
Russia.
It doesn't feel, yeah, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it doesn't feel like it would happen in Britain to me either. So I guess my last question for you, this has been so fun, by the way. Thank you so much. I really hope people buy and read Spooked, the Trump Dossier, Black Cube, and the Rise of Private Spies. And I know this is an anti-journalistic question to even ask, because I think it was Bob Woodward. We talked to Bob Woodward, and he's only levied a verdict one time in his entire life, and it was his last book. He doesn't levy verdicts, but your overall feeling, what percentage of them are good? As you said, there are good reasons to investigate people. And if your local government's not doing it and you're funded and you could help break open something, then that seems like a noble pursuit. What percentage of the work they're doing would you say is good and what is evil?
Well, I can't give you a percentage breakdown. Let me give you an anecdote. As you mentioned, and as I discussed, there are many private investigative firms that are honorable and they do ethical, legal work. But increasingly, what some of these investigators said to me is that more and more they're going into law firms to pitch their services to them. Like, if you have cases, we're great, here's what we've done, blah, blah, blah. Invariably, what they are getting back is like, well, can you guys do what Black Cube did? Do you guys do that? And that's what they want. That's what is wanted more and more. Because at the end of the day, people want to win. And they're willing to do anything to win so long as they don't get caught doing it.
Monica. Have you seen the film Michael Clayton?
It's a great film.
Isn't it the greatest? It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And then in my mind, I'm like, what percentage? How much have they deviated for creative license? Like, they might not shoot your ankle up with some kind of agent. But short of that, man, it seems like maybe everything else is on the buffet of options.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. This was so enlightening. Thank you so much for your time, Barry. And how hilarious I bring up NXIVM. That was a really nice moment. It was real. Something real happened today. Everyone should check out Spooked, the Trump Dossier, Black Cube, and the Rise of Private Spies. Just sounds like one exciting story after another of just the depths of all this.
Thanks so much. And you made me happy. You made my daughter Lily happy. And it was great to share some time with you.
Well, let me leave you with this. Lily, your dad is so cool. Oh, my God. I want to be your dad. And you should think he's the coolest as well. Be well. Great luck with the book. It's been so fun talking to you. I look forward to your next investigation. Take care.
All right. Cheers.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
With the Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One, you earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. And you get big purchasing power, so your business can spend more and earn more.
Living your best life means being extra where it counts and skipping the extra where you don't need it. Like in your cleaning products. That's where Seventh Generation comes in. Their bio-based cleaning power delivers a powerful clean with nothing extra in the bottle. Need a dish soap that cuts through the tough grease? A detergent that tackles the worst stains and odors? Seventh Generation handles it all without any dyes or artificial fragrances. Real clean doesn't have to come with a long list of add-ons. Upgrade to a powerful clean without anything extra. Look for Seventh Generation dish soap and laundry detergent wherever you shop for your cleaning products.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
good morning.
Good morning.
I tried to act like we didn't just do a fact check, but we did.
Don't say that.
Really?
No.
They don't like that?
No, I would hate that.
You would?
Yeah.
I think they like honesty.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's tricky. You got to be honest and give them what they want. This is not always the same.
But I'm still wearing that white t-shirt.
Ooh, I know. And I'm still thinking about the boy who gave you his number.
Oh, wow.
Because I was wondering, like, I guess if he's a fan of the show, he does know your age. But you also read young. I could imagine
do.
being 27 and not thinking you're older than me.
I agree. I don't know how often we talk about age on here.
I know. I mean, I'm doing fast math a lot. I'm saying 13 younger than me.
Comes up every time a guest is around your age.
That's
Or
true.
our age.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
okay.
But you know what we talk about all the time is when there's a guest who's younger than me, it's like a big shock that they're younger. So maybe it is coming across like I'm much younger than I am, which I'm not.
And you look young.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. But I'm on the eve of 34 years.
Yeah. It's exciting.
34 is like not a real age. Either was 33.
Yeah, I'd agree. 32, for some reason, stands out of my mind. It was a big year.
Okay. Okay.
A very good
Really,
year.
30 to 35 are all nothing years, kind of, I think. And then 35 feels different.
I learned something about Silly Valentine, by the way.
Oh my God.
I don't think he wrote that song. I think that's what I
mean
found
Funny
out. Funny Valentine. Silly, stupid Valentine. I think he re-recorded it.
Oh.
Yeah. I think that's what I figured out in Montana. I think the original was on the radio.
Oh, or did that person redo it?
I will never know.
Okay.
Okay.
This was a great episode. Barry Meier, opioids.
Ooh.
Hot topic.
Wait. Opioids, or that was his first book and now his new book's not about opioids? This is the Private Eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. I just
Private
wanted
Eyes.
Yes, Private Eyes and opioids.
And opioids.
Yes.
And Nexium, which you just fell backwards
That
into.
was crazy. Oh my God. In a weird way, if I'm him, I'd prefer it came out that way. Because it'd be one thing if like I knew that about him and then I was going to bring that up about him.
Yeah.
But just like I was off talking about the power of journalism and not realizing it was him.
True.
That's better.
Well, kind of, but he had to then tell you it was him.
Yeah.
Maybe he felt like that was going to be a brag.
But I got to be honest, if someone was in here and they were just going on about how great Hit and Run is, not knowing I had anything to do with it, that's
True.
pretty much the ultimate
That's true. Compliment.
Yeah. There's no pandering happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And people with that facial recognition
Disorder.
ailment, I'm always nervous now saying disorder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That gift of facial amnesia. If you have that, you could probably love Hit and Run, sit down with me and have no fucking clue. Because you wouldn't recognize me as the guy that was in that movie.
But wouldn't they still see you? Oh, they can't remember what they saw, right?
No, yeah, because I have a friend that has it, and I asked him, what does Brad Pitt look like? And he's like, I can tell you what his hair looks like. I cannot tell you what his face looks like.
But don't they see the face kind of upside down?
No, you're conflating. Now, we saw 60 Minutes that explored this condition, and what they demonstrated was that our recognition of people's faces is very precarious. It doesn't take much at all for us to not be able to recognize faces.
Oh.
And all they did is they took eight or 10 faces, turned them upside down, put them on the screen, and as the 10 most famous people in the world,
Yeah.
and we got like 2 of them.
Right. Okay. They're just showing that it's a very.
Yeah, all one needs to do is flip the thing upside down, and you cannot see that that's Tom Cruise.
I'm going to type in upside down faces.
All right.
See what we get. Upside
That's
down
you.
face.
That's your face you're looking at.
Oh my God. Okay, so they just can't, they see it as a big blur.
Well, when they're looking at it, they see it. They
Okay, that's what I'm not understanding.
But the points that your brain memorizes, like the little data points on the face,
Yeah.
they're precarious. So if you just tilt the face upside down, you lose those data points, and you don't know what face you're looking at. You can see the face,
Right, okay.
but you do not recognize it as Tom Cruise or Oprah, which is wild. Wild stuff.
How can you go through life though? I don't understand. Like
It's
every
hard.
time you meet someone, it's like you haven't met them before.
Well,
This
like
is so
in my
strange.
friend's case, like he knows I'm coming to pick him up. So when a human arrives, he knows it's me.
Oh my, they
but
could
he
get
couldn't-
taken advantage of so easily.
Well, that's true.
Oh no. This is upsetting. I didn't really realize it was that intense.
Well, the other thing I would wonder, boy, there's 2 outcomes of it that I want to explore. One part of me thinks, how exciting to see everyone's face for the first time every time. That seems exciting. But then secondly, when you love someone and they just continue to get more and more attractive,
Oh.
What does it do to that phenomena?
But okay, so when they wake up every morning next to their wife, they forget what their wife has looked like.
Right, but they turn over and they look and they know they're next to their wife. So they're just looking at her face and they're not thinking much of it. But if they had to pick their wife's face out of a lineup, they'd be in trouble.
No, that's
yes.
bad.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's how it is.
This is like 50 First Dates, the saddest movie that's ever been made.
Yeah.
Where she keeps forgetting him and he has to make her fall in love with him every day.
That might be the perfect relationship for me.
Why?
I'd have to earn it every single time.
You would like that.
Yeah, every day. Get these
Okay,
people.
look at these people.
Oh,
okay, if you guys
wow.
want to do this, go to just type in 60 minutes face blindness.
Oh, face blindness.
And then
Yeah, I mean,
you can't do it.
right. Isn't that wild?
It's crazy.
Who are the people in that photo?
John Travolta.
Oh, wow. We all know.
Sandra Bullock, Jennifer Aniston, Denzel.
Jen Aniston. Imagine you not getting Jen Aniston.
No. Ugh.
You can experience it, right? Like, so when you're looking at it upside down, you can experience exactly what they're experiencing. Like, you see the face.
Right.
You can talk to the person. You see all the elements that make up their face, but it's just not cueing you to remember that that's Jennifer Aniston.
Huh. But I guess if I was looking at this and talking to this, and then tomorrow I saw that again, I would know. Like, it would still look, I don't know. Anywho, that was scary. Why did we talk about that?
Because we were talking about opioids. We were talking about private investigators. Oh, sitting with me, having loved Hit and Run. There we go. We found our way back. Wow.
always
I felt
do.
stoned for a second. I was like, why can't we
You felt like you were on
remember?
opioids?
No.
Okay, because that's a different
razor
feeling.
sharp. Yeah, an opioid.
No, I don't think so. You think you're razor sharp on them?
I don't think I have much diminished mental capacity. Whereas stoned, when I've been stoned, I'm confused. I'm like, what were we talking about? Where were we going?
True.
You know, you can't keep anything straight for more than like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's
That's not a desirable state for me.
me either.
No. I want to be razor sharp, all gacked up on opioids.
No,
I'm teasing.
no.
I'm teasing. You don't like those jokes.
Well,
and
it's
I
just a
understand.
little soon. It's
yeah,
just
too soon.
It's just makes me scared. Okay, what's the name of the Ronan Farrow book that you mentioned? His book is Catch and Kill. How many people have died from opioid addiction in the last year? Opioids were involved in 49,860 overdose deaths in 2019, which was 70.6% of all drug overdose deaths.
The 500,000 number is over the course of like the last 8 years or something. We were using hundreds of thousands at points, but that was when viewed in the whole story of Purdue.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. But a friend of mine, I just learned last night that a friend of mine OD'd on what he thought was Xanax that had fentanyl in it. He lived, but had two Narcans by the police administered.
No.
And,
Oh, my God.
you know, you'd be right to expect that an opioid would be laced with it, a fake OxyContin.
Yeah.
If we haven't covered this a trillion times, there's no source of real OxyContin anymore because they've shut off that big waterfall. So there are all these mills in Mexico that make pills that look just like OxyContin, but really the active ingredient's fentanyl. That makes sense. To get a Xanax, that's a different drug. That's a benzo, and they're putting fentanyl in that. Like, so basically, you can't take pills anymore because there's
don't.
fentanyl in
Just
everything.
please just
Like, even
don't
if you
take
want to
pills.
experiment with drugs and get high, I don't have a position on that. If you're not an addict and you want to get high and you can do it responsibly, great. But you can't take pills anymore responsibly because you don't know what's in them anymore.
Yeah.
It's a bummer for druggies, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's really scary.
It is. That's what's leading all these ODs is people don't know they're taking fentanyl. And heroin is laced with fentanyl now.
I mean, look, I guess there's a part of me that's like these highly, insanely addictive drugs. I guess there's a part of me that's like glad there's a bigger deterrent
I would
for
be
some
if
of
it,
them, like heroin.
I would be if it translated into risk reward and people not doing it, but that's not
You
how
don't
it
think it
works.
will?
No. I think like you can relate to drinking alcohol a lot. And if you were alive in Prohibition, you would find yourself drinking lots of alcohol that you didn't know where it came from. I just know you would. Like you would still be social, and you and your friends would still drink, and you'd be getting alcohol that was made in some people's bathtubs, and you would just you'd accept the the risk of it.
Yeah, that is true. But I love alcohol.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
it's great.
I love it. But if fentanyl was ending up in drinks, and in wine bottles, and I wouldn't know, I really do think for me, I'd be like, I
Can't risk it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, but if I was an addict, maybe I wouldn't be able to resist it.
Well, you're already endeavoring on something that you know has some lethal outcome. Like if you shoot heroin, you know people OD from heroin, but you tell yourself, well, I won't be that greedy. I won't shoot that much. So that's the first thing you tell yourself. And then the second thing is like, yeah, fentanyl's out there, but what I'll do is I'll shoot a tiny bit, see how that lands, and if it's fine, I'll know my batch is good, and then I'll do my normal. There's all these ways I'm sure people talk themselves into ignoring the risk. I'm going to add one thing, though. You will not like this.
Okay. Population control?
No. It's easy to look at them as crazy.
I don't.
Or just engage in very risky behavior. And it's easy to see it that way. People don't really want to recognize that some 65,000 people die of a heart attack this year, induced by a terrible diet.
Yeah.
And so if you know what it's like to pull up at a fast food restaurant when you are unhealthy from eating and make the decision to get it anyways, you actually know what it feels like to make the decision.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of us are doing things that result in our untimely demise, and we've labeled some as crazy and some as totally acceptable, and the outcome's the same. There more people are dying from terrible eating habits.
I don't think we've labeled that as crazy so much as maybe pathological or, I mean, they are illegal, so that's its own category.
But that's the part that I think allows people to think of those people as a separate group of people who make decisions that are so reckless.
Right.
And I'm only pointing out that just as many people are dying from another decision everyone makes, and no one's really vilifying them.
Definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All of this is sad and hard. I mean, it's just hard to be a person and make decisions that are healthy for yourself.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm urging is when people are inclined to go like, I can't relate to that. Like, who would take pills at this point knowing fentanyl? Well, who would go eat this food that you know you're going to have coronary disease from? Who would go and do this stuff that's going to give you cancer?
Most people have something that if they dig deep, like they're putting themselves at risk doing.
Right.
Oof.
Was that all the facts?
Yeah. Well. All right. This was sad.
Hope everyone's okay.
Love you.
Don't eat pills.
Don't. Please. Just don't. Just so.
Yeah. And exercise, you know.
And go to therapy.
Yeah. All right. Love you.
Love you.
We are supported by Allstate. Checking Allstate first could save you hundreds on car insurance. Not checking that your keys are actually in your hand before you close the car door. Have you ever stood in a parking lot full of sun staring at your keys sitting right there on the seat 4 inches away and completely useless to you? It's a very specific kind of humbling. Yeah. Checking first is a good idea. So check Allstate first for an auto quote. It could save you hundreds. And for fast, reliable help when you need it, add an Allstate roadside plan today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Potential savings vary. Insurance and roadside assistance plans are subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Insurance provided by Allstate North American Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois. Roadside assistance plans provided by Allstate Motor Club, Incorporated, an Allstate affiliate.